Hello and welcome to another edition of BCR Webcasting. Today I'm very happy to be joined by Federico Avellán Borgmeyer, who's Chief Partner Officer at technology firm efcom. Federico, welcome.
Great to see you again, Michael. I will not say it's been a long time because I see you all the time.
We see each other in all sorts of different locations around the world on a regular basis.
That's absolutely right, yeah.
Federico, you're going to be at our MENA SCF conference, which is on the 5th and 6th of November in Dubai. There's going to be a panel session there, which is, can you just tell us briefly the panel session that your colleague is going to be joining?
My colleague and new team member, Abdelrahman El Beldaji, will actually be there. He's one of our young team members in my team, actually. And he's in his early 20s, but being in his early 20s, he has over 20 years of experience in Islamic finance and Islamic factoring, and you would wonder why can that be? Yeah, because he's been practically breathing it from the first day he was born. His father is one of the major scholars in the Islamic finance world. So Abdelrahman has been hearing this for forever and ever since he came basically to the world. And that's why I'm saying he's in his early 20s and he has over 20 years of Islamic finance and Islamic factoring experience. You will see him in Dubai on the 5th of November. So yeah, stay tuned.
I've met him before, and I remember last time he was very good on stage and in the panel. I was impressed.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and now he's developed one more year, so he's going to be even more impressive. You'll see.
Okay, so we'll look forward to that. But and our questions, my questions today to you are related to that event and that panel. And you have vast experience in receivables finance and a lot of experience in the MENA region yourself, Federico. But in the MENA region, in the countries in the MENA region, there are lots of different challenges and different structures, different regulation, different laws. How can you fulfill those different requirements in terms of their need for technology, factoring technology?
Right. I think MENA countries, and that's why you are also there with BCR, are experiencing a real boost. That's what we're seeing. Originated primarily out of Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, Dubai, and they're doing that because they're in search of for new clusters in a post-oil future, as they call it right now. And interestingly enough, finance, especially trade finance, I mean, we know where they are located between Asia and Europe, especially trade finance and therefore receivables finance and therefore supply chain finance and factoring are increasingly being sought after in that space. So this is something that we have been seeing, and more importantly, to make that really happen, is that the markets have now been regulated, like the UAE from an international point of view, with the Federal Decree Law 16, I think, from 2021, dealing specifically with factoring and the assignment of receivables. I mean, this is a great move because now all stakeholders have a clear understanding on what is allowed, what is not allowed, and also how to regulate things in case of disputes. If you don't have that, then you have a little bit of a wild east or wild west or wild whatsoever, which is happening in markets that are not regulated. But the UAE have regulated the market. However, Saudi Arabia, the potentially larger market, is not there yet, and not as regulated, let's say, as the UAE, and relies primarily on Sharia compliance boards at the financial institution. That means that there are individuals that understand the Sharia law, and they will tell you if what you're doing is compliant with Sharia law or not. So these Sharia compliance boards are the ones that regulate trading with residuals when it comes to Islamic finance and hence Islamic factoring. So this is the little difference between those two markets at the moment, but they're developing in their own way, right? While the accounting and the auditing organization for Islamic finance institutions called IOFI, this is an organization based in Bahrain, is a great entity trying to set standards across all Islamic financial institutions in line with Sharia principles and rules. It is not yet there to be seen as the sole and only standard setter. You have to imagine, you have to think about that there is interpretation of the Sharia law, and the ones interpreted in this direction and the other ones in another direction. So it is a great institution to set the standards, making it easier also for the ones that want to work in Islamic finance and Islamic factoring. But there is not the one and only rule that says this is it and that's about it. So there are interpretations, therefore Sharia boards. So that now known, because we had to go through all that exercise and understanding, we in EFCOM have developed early enough solutions that may appeal and are in line with Sharia principles, because there are different products, let's call them, like we have them also in our, let's say, standard factoring. Murabaha, Musharaka, Mudaraba, Wakhala investment approach, which is one of them that we actually pretty much prefer, because we think that they cover most of the different cases that are out there. Yeah.
And how difficult was it for you to bring those particular requirements into your platform to make it something that could be used in this region?
You mean from a technical point of view?
Yeah, was it a difficult process? Did it?
The most difficult part, Michael, to be honest, was to understand the workflow. You know, because for us the workflow is pretty clear, and since we have in our particular law in Germany, in the UK, we have particular regulations that allow and help us to do factoring, to purchase in receivables, and we have an underlying law behind. In Sharia law, this is different, and so what we had to do first is understand the logic of the Sharia law. Once you understand the logic of the Sharia law, about having no interest, you're not allowed to purchase particular goods. You cannot buy money for money, these kind of things. When you understand those principles, now once understood, you're an engineer, and you put that into reality, let's say, into a workflow that complies with that. So in principle, technology can do a lot, but the first thing is to understand the logic behind. Whether that makes sense for you or not is a different thing, but once the logic is understood, you can implement that. And that's what we did. We have received what is called a fatwa. When we hear fatwa, that has a negative connotation in the Western world, because it always sounds like someone is going to do something to you negative. But the fatwa is also like a rule that says that you are allowed to do something in a particular frame. And this is what we received after our application was being, let's say, audited by experts from the industry, from the Sharia boards, that said, yeah, This is absolutely in line, let's say, with the Wahala investment approach, for instance, or with the Murabaha approach. And once
so you've jumped through the hurdles, you've done the technical restructuring or requirements, and now you're ready to meet the needs of this.
Absolutely. So if someone comes to us and says, I want to do Islamic factoring, then we tell them, well, we have these particular, let's say, approaches, workflows, which have these names, and they're Sharia compliant under IOFI standards and accounting principles. And then they prove that, they check it, they do, let's say, business cases in which they want to check if that is really happening in the workflow. And once that is done, off you go.
Okay, so you're ready to basically address this burgeoning market, growing market.
Correct.
And many people see this to be very much a developing and growing area.
Right. But now the reality is a different one, Michael, because these regions, although they're Islamic countries, and the finance world is, let's say, not only Islamic. I mean, the Western world goes up on its own rules. And if Islamic countries want to do business with non-Islamic countries, then there are certain principles. So let's say putting a second kind of system in place will take its time. So we thought once we have a technical solution that answers the desires of the region, it would go boom, boom, boom. Well, no. Neither, let's say, the conventional one nor the Islamic one. So everything is going a little bit slower than we expected. The interest is high, but the reality is it is still in its infancy. So both conventional and Islamic receivables finance are growing lower than expected. But why does it come from? Because it's primarily due to lack of knowledge in the market. I mean, we still have it in the West as well. We still have it in Europe, that many companies don't know what receivables finance is all about. Now imagine in a region that didn't have it at all and is starting from zero. And you have two systems, one that is, let's say, conventional, Western style, and then you have an Islamic one. So boom, there is a lot of education that needs to be done at the financial institutions and the financial institutions to their clients, both of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same in any emerging market. Education is a key aspect of developing those markets, and it doesn't.
Absolutely. So it starts with initiatives like the ones that you're doing, we're doing, like evangelists in the market. But I always say when there is like a major player moving the dice ahead, others will follow.
So, but anyway, you've decided that you need a presence in this region, and you've decided that because you see growth and development in the future, maybe not quite as fast as initially thought, but you do see a growth progression there, and you feel it's a good place to be. If we look at look beyond that region, let's just talk generally for a moment.
Yeah.
About markets around the world. What do you see looking forward to be the sort of critical factors for success? I was trying to avoid to use the word factors, but you know what I mean. What do you see as just generally, what do you see are those critical and decisive aspects of technology, or even broader than technology, in this sector?
Right. I think one that is very important, and that comes always to me, is adaptation to the local market. You know, I think this particular exercise with Islamic finance, Islamic factoring is a good example. When you come to an industry, you come to a market and you tell them, hey, this is working in my geography, so it has to work in yours. Well, perhaps, I say, but perhaps not. So adaptation to the local market, that's why we started early and we said, what is the market like? And perhaps Islamic finance and Islamic factoring is one of the elements. May not be the crucial one, but it certainly is one element. So adaptation to local market, apart from being an infant market, apart from being one that needs to learn a lot. So what we said is you can't possibly come in and tell the market, well, here is, let's say, an application that will cost you a fortune. So what we're saying is, hey, why don't you start with something that we provide to you and that will allow you to grow, scale up. So scalability is another one. So adaptation is one, scalability to help a provider to find its space from small and grow accordingly at its own pace, you know, having the opportunity to move on, and also have the opportunity to try different products, like we mentioned before. So not being stuck on one. If you develop your own application for one particular functionality and that doesn't fly, well, then you're in trouble. Then you have to give up, or you have to start from zero. In our case, you get a full array and cocktail of alternatives that you can try. And I mean, I guess we've seen it all in many years of being in the industry, and provide that proposition to the local starter, you know, try this, try that. Supply chain finance is the one, as we know, in the industry, in the region, doing quite well, and being sought after. And so that's okay. But there are many other products. You're not stuck to only one. You can go on full service. You can go on in-house or factoring, or invoice discounting, or if you're happy to go, also Islamic factoring. And there are so many other alternatives that you could go and try out, especially in an environment where trade finance, international trade finance is located, you know.
Once you've made the choice of a platform, which is generally not an easy choice, it's generally a lengthy choice. Once you've made that choice, you don't really want to have to do it again, because you've decided you're going to move on to it. You're going to try a different product, or there's going to be some change in your option.
That's why I would always recommend, if you make a choice, don't make a choice that leads you into one direction only, but a choice where you have a choice, where you can try out different things, because you're new in the market doesn't know where it's going. And if you're stuck to go into one direction, like take it or leave it, then you're really bound. So in this case, this is what we're saying. And that's why technology is also important. Technology should allow you to start not where we started 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, but, you know, start at best practice in where we are now, and where the future is going to be. So you're not starting with the big costs that our organizations, our clients used to have here, and now they're, you know, developing into a more automated environment, but start right away with what's best in class. So this is what I would propose, you know, not with the papers. Don't start with Excel. Excel is a great tool, but it's not the factoring tool. So start with what you should have.
Well, Federico, we're running out of time, but I think that's given us a nice flavor of what the discussion is going to be like at our MENA event in Dubai. Just to remind everybody, that's on the 5th and 6th of November.
Yeah.
In Dubai at the Western Hotel. And we're going to be seeing and hearing from your colleague, Abdel Rahman.
Yeah.
And you'll be there as well, of course.
Of course, yes.
So Federico, thank you very much for your time this morning, and we look forward to seeing you in Dubai in a few weeks.
Thank you, Michael. Looking forward as well.